It's Thursday today, and we currently have an incredibly rare, department-wide 5 out of 5 avalanche risk. While not unprecedented, this almost never happens. It's a first for me in the whole time I've lived in the Alps. I have occasionally seen individual resorts under a 5 out of 5 category risk day. I think the Contamine had one of those days a couple of seasons ago, Teens last year, but right now virtually the entirety of Savoie and Haute-Savoie is under a 5 out of 5 extreme avalanche risk. So you might be wondering, what am I doing out riding the powder on a 5 out of 5 avalanche day? I'll address that more towards the end of the video, so keep watching. But for now, let's take a look back on how we got here. It's Tuesday today, and things are about to get very, very interesting. It started raining and snowing at some point last night, and it's barely due to stop between now and in the early hours of Friday morning, by which point the snow accumulations up at altitude could be really significant, with the caveat that it is currently pretty warm. Today, freezing levels are around about 1800 metres, and tonight they're temporarily projected to go up above 2000 metres. So yes, we are going to get a hell of a lot of snow, but low down and on the mid-mountain it's going to be very, very sticky, very, very heavy. But up high, above about 2200 metres, we're expecting in excess of a metre of snowfall over the next 2 or 3 days. At 1800 metres, we're expecting maybe 80 centimetres, even though, as I say, right now at this altitude it is quite warm. The snowfall totals are going to stack up. But lower down in the lower valley, the runs are really going to suffer. It's going to be torrential rain for the next 2 days. So the home run here in Saint-Gervais, the beginner piece like the Balcon de Savoie, etc. in Chamonix, it's going to be pretty damn miserable. We've only had around about 5 centimetres of snow so far. Indeed, right now it's even trying to rain. So it's been a slow start, but tonight things are really going to ramp up, and it's going to be really torrential, really persistent from then through till Friday basically. So like I say, things are only really just getting started. It's week 1 of French school Zone A's half-term holidays this week. Zone A includes pretty much all of the central portion of France, including here, Haute-Savoie, but thankfully excluding Paris. So there are quite a lot of school kids and ski schools out on the hill at the moment, but with it being the local school kids, they can ski, of course, every week of the season, so there is no mad rush to come up to the mountains during the holidays, especially with the weather being poor at the moment and the snow not being great either. So right now it's really not too bad, but this coming weekend is when it's going to start to get really chaotic. The main UK school half-term holidays start this weekend, as well as it obviously being week 2 of all the local French school kids half-terms, and week 1 of French school Zone B. And this is the current conditions of the home run here in Saint-Gervais. It is finally officially open now. The last time I skied this, they had just about prepared it, but they still hadn't officially opened it. Whereas now it's the school holidays are here, it is officially open. But as you can see, it is looking pretty brown already in a few places, and it's only going to get worse over the next few days. But that aside, it is actually still skiing pretty well. It is still full width the whole way down, or at least as far down as I've got so far. And there are no bare brown patches just yet. There's an occasional little tuft of grass poking through, but it's still full coverage of snow. But I do expect it to suffer a lot over the next 2 days. Like I say, there's going to be a lot of rain at this elevation. It will eventually turn back to snow all the way down to resort level, but by that point the damage may well have already been done. We should just have to see. This may not look pretty, but it's actually skiing better than the rest of the mountain at the moment. It's lovely sugary spring corn down here. It's just been raining, no snow. Whereas today's fresh snow up on the mountain has actually made the on-piste conditions worse. It's so sticky that it's really not nice to ski at all. But yeah, this is actually really enjoyable. Let's see what tomorrow brings. The problem with living within walking distance of the ski lift is you have to walk the ski lift even in the pissing rain. There's no way I can justify driving to the lift just for 2 or 3 minutes because it's a bit miserable. Which does mean I'm going to be absolutely soaked before I even started skiing today. But it is what it is. Apparently the snow line up in Chamonix is between about 14 and 1500 metres today. It's going to be just as miserable up there than it is down here in Saint-Gervais right now. Anybody having their lessons on the beginner slopes down in the valley bottom is going to be having an absolutely terrible time. As expected, the snow up here today is very heavy, very dense and sticky. The snow line's currently around about, well, just below the mid-station at Betex, about 1400 metres, the same as in Chamonix. But down there it's absolutely miserable, it's really wet and soggy. Up here, just below the top lift, so around about 1800 metres, it's probably about 30 centimetres of fresh snow since yesterday. But like I say, it's very dense, very heavy. So it doesn't feel like you're skiing through 30 centimetres of snow, you're only skiing on like top 10 centimetres. Things will continue to improve throughout the day today, throughout tonight, and hopefully again tomorrow. Freezing levels are dropping ever so slightly. Not dropping a huge amount, but hopefully dropping enough that at this elevation at least, the snow should be quite nice by this time tomorrow. But yeah, right now it's pretty difficult to ski at the moment. Today is the first time using my Zeiss low light lenses with my Outdoor Master Falcon goggles. As I said previously, my usual go-to low light lens is the blue lenses with my Ultra goggles, so thought I'd finally try these out. In theory, these are a significantly better quality low light lens, but to be honest, today the quality of your lenses is irrelevant because with the wet sticky snow just sticking to the outside of the goggle lens anyway, so I can't see a thing regardless of the contrast. So yeah, today's probably isn't the best day to be judging how good or not the Zeiss low light lenses are. This is what I mean by wet, sticky, heavy powder. If it was nice blower snow, this would just all blow off, but look at it. It's all sticking to your ski. Which makes it pretty difficult to ski, as both skis are wanting to do different things in the snow. On a snowboard, it's probably lovely, but on skis it's hard work. The official avalanche risk across the whole of Haute Savoie has gone up to 4 out of 5 today, which means that a lot of lifts in Chamonix are not running. At Brabant-Plagere, it's only the lower runs. The Tour, again, it's only the runs on the front side, no tête de balme lifts. Grand Montée is closed completely today. La Zouche, most things are open, which means of course La Zouche is going to be incredibly busy today. Virtually everybody in the Chamonix Valley is going to be skiing in La Zouche. Here in Saint-Gervais, it's always much better on a storm day, on a powder day. Most of the lifts here are running, with the exception of the Montjoly lift. So here it's really, really quiet, still good, but tomorrow could be a different story. But one thing's for sure, it certainly looks incredibly beautiful up here. Look at this now. And as always in Saint-Gervais on a storm day, very few tracks. If you can find somewhere that hasn't been completely tracked out in any of the previous snowfalls, then the snow in the trees is really, really deep. Look, that's my pole completely buried in snow, so that's 125 centimetres, and it still hasn't bottomed out yet. So yes, the snow is quite heavy and dense, but there's a lot of it. As I've just mentioned in my midweek snow report, this may well end up being one of those incredibly frustrating storm cycles where we get a hell of a lot of snow, but we really can't enjoy most of it. There's an incredibly narrow window of opportunity to get the best out of this snow at the moment. Too low, like where I am now, and it's too warm. It's so sticky, so wet down here. Too high, and it's too windy. And there's not a huge amount of skiing in that Goldilocks zone where you can really appreciate it, unfortunately. I do expect, when everything's finally blown over, there could be some absolutely phenomenal pockets of snow up on the Vallée Blanche. I'm thinking steeper east-facing pitches, should be a bit more sheltered from the wind. Could be some really deep snow up there. But that's assuming they manage to dig out the lifts and get everything up and running out there before the next storm blows in and they close everything again. And there's no guarantee that will happen. So we shall have to see what later in the week brings. But for now at least, we're all stuck down here in the soggy wet snow. And that's the problem. It's still 2 degrees at around 1700 metres, which means freezing level today is currently probably still around 2000 metres. And there's no skiing available above 2000 metres at the moment because of the storm conditions. And the tree line is also around about 2000 metres. So even if you could get higher above the trees, it's going to be too windy anyway. So yeah, I'm not just whinging and moaning, that is the reality. It's very, very soggy. Time to get wet again. Indeed, my jacket's still soaking from yesterday. Thankfully, I've got more than one pair of trousers, but only the one proper ski jacket, so I'm going to have to put up with being a bit damp today. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, we are under an incredibly rare Category 5 avalanche warning day today. That means that virtually the whole of the Chamonix Valley is under lockdown. The entirety of the Brevant-Fougères, Grandmontet and the Tour ski areas are closed, as is the Nordic skiing in Argentière and Vallorcine. The buses and trains are terminating in Argentière, so the upper valley, Montroc and the Tour are literally cut off from the rest of the world at the moment. Residents are advised not to go outside of their homes. You can ski on the valley floor runs in Balcon de Savoy, and Les Ouches is open today, as is Saint-Géré, which is where I am now. After a couple of hours of nice clear weather at the end of play yesterday, it started raining and snowing again last night, and it's been doing the same all day today. It's going to keep snowing until at least the early hours of tonight, tomorrow morning, Friday. Then potentially tomorrow morning could be sunny. Could be a nice bluebird powder day if you're actually able to get out anywhere. If you're wondering why I'm currently walking, it's because today I'm on the snowboard. I'm on a cat track, which is completely flat, and with the fresh snow on it, I've got no chance of being able to snowboard on it, so I'm having to suck it up and walk. We're here in Saint-Géré today. Approximately half the resort is open, so everything that's accessible from the top of Mont d'Arbois. Most of the runs are accessible from the top of Montjou, but the connection to Saint-Nicolas is closed, so Croix and Croix de Christ chairlifts are closed, the pool is closed, obviously Montjoly is closed. So basically you can't access any big dangerous terrain for obvious reasons, but there's still plenty of friendly mellow powder to go at, even though it is Category 5 avalanche day. Which brings me on nicely to the elephant in the room. What am I doing out riding powder on avalanche risk Category 5 day? No doubt some of you will be thinking that it's A, incredibly reckless and irresponsible of me, and B, rather hypocritical given everything I've been saying about avalanches and avalanche safety this season. But the thing about avalanche warnings is they're incredibly generic, especially today where it's department wide. But the devil's in the detail. Avalanches require a specific set of circumstances to occur. Those circumstances are varied and complex. It's not something you can learn overnight, but it's something you can get a good grasp of with decades of experience, which is what I have. Plus, the really important thing is, I'm on my home patch today, my home turf. This is my local mountain. I know every nook and cranny. I know everywhere where avalanches will be occurring today. I know all the places where avalanches might occur, given the right or indeed wrong set of circumstances. I know all the places where it's just simply physically impossible for avalanches to occur because there is no mechanism for release to create the slide. And that's what I'm riding. And given the amount of lift closures today, obviously the Police Patrol have done their job properly. Anywhere where there is a slight possibility that you might accidentally find yourself in danger of avalanches is closed off. You simply cannot access any dangerous terrain today. You'd have to intentionally be ducking ropes, hiking, skinning, boot packing up to places to get anywhere which is in danger of avalanches today. All the accessible terrain today is safe. Even here right now, which might think looks reasonably steep, it's much mellower than it looks, and it's a really lumpy bumpy base which gets skied out every day. So it's skier packed, it's lumpy bumpy, there is no slide plane, plus there's lots of trees as well. Trees help stabilise the snowpack and prevent large wind slabs happening. As you can probably see behind me, already it is tracked out, even though it is pretty quiet today. So it is still possible to go out and have fun, even on Category 5 day, if you know what you're doing, you obey the warnings, you obey the closed off piste, etc., and you play it safe. But Chamonix is a very different matter. The thing with Chamonix is virtually the entire valley is threatened from steep mountainous terrain from above. The entirety of the ski areas of Brevant-Fougères, the entirety of Grandmontet, and most of the ski area in the Tour has steep terrain above it. And it's simply impossible to mitigate all the risks there. No matter how skilled you are, no matter how much knowledge you have, you cannot eliminate all the risk of the avalanches from above. So they've just closed the entire valley. But here in Saint-Géré, and also in Les Ouches, first of all, we're on much more rounded mountains, and secondly and crucially, you're on top of the mountain. There is nothing above you up here. There is nothing to slide down onto the piste other than the piste themselves. And the pistes have been controlled. Everything has been managed. It's understandable, given the pretty tragic season we've had so far, that the departments are playing it safe with issuing the 5 out of 5 avalanche warning today. They're just not taking any chances. But, like I say, you can still go out and have fun in perfectly safe manner in certain resorts if you know what you're doing and you obey the rules. And what is the snow actually like today? Well, in spite of all the hype and the fuss, it's still not actually that good, unfortunately. It is still just too warm. Temperatures have dropped by a degree or so, but it's still above freezing up here. So the fresh snow that's fallen is still very dense. It's not sticky today, but it's still very dense. It's not fluffy and blowy at all. And the snow that fell yesterday, which was soggy, has crisped up overnight as temperatures did drop. So you've got a kind of a crust underneath the fresh snow, but it's very weak and breakable. So you're breaking through into the really dense sticky snow from yesterday, and you've still got the dense snow from today on top. So actually you're basically having to straight line for everything, especially on the snowboard, so it's really not that fun at all. But I'm here, I'm out. We've had so little powder this season that I've got to make the most of this, even if it is quite poor. So all in all, if you have stayed at home today, you're not missing too much. Dense snow really sucks. I'm digging myself a deeper and deeper furrow. The problem is my nose has got itself underneath yesterday's snow in the really dense hard layer. I'm going nowhere. I'm downhill here. It's probably 10% gradient, so it's not even completely flat, but I just can't move. It's like trying to snowboard through concrete. Oh. Tree wells aren't really a hazard that we have here in Europe. We just so rarely get anywhere near enough snow for it to be an issue. But this kind of snow that we have here today, this can be a real hazard. Because if you fall over, it just sets around you like concrete. Which for me right now is a minor inconvenience. Just a bit of a ball ache to try and get back up again. But if you happen to fall head down, face first in this, and it sets around you, especially if your bodies aren't right by you, you can very seriously be at risk of suffocating, or at the very least just getting hypothermia and being left there overnight. So yeah, we may not have tree wells, but instead we have concrete powder. As expected, the storm is turning out to be very frustrating so far. That Goldilocks zone has proved elusive today. Got one more chance for tomorrow. The temperature should drop by another degree or so. Potentially you'll get another 15 to 20 centimetres of snow overnight. Potentially might not get anything at all, we shall see. Today was definitely a frustrating day. It's Friday, the sun's out, the snow is soft, crucially it's still cold, for now anyway, although things will heat up rapidly in the sun this afternoon. Freezing level is rising up to about 900 metres again briefly today. It is still avalanche risk 5, so most of the Chamonix Valley is still closed. All of Brevant, all of the Tour, most if not all of Fougères, most if not all of Grand Montet. La Zouche is obviously open, Saint-Gervais is obviously open as well. Up here at the Contamine, it's incredibly busy. Nothing on the upper mountain up here was touched yesterday, which means there's absolutely acres and acres of untouched powder. But it is pretty firm, very wind packed up here, as you might expect. But still, that just makes it easier to stay on top, so it's still lovely to ski. You've got to be quick though, got to get out there fast and get to your line because, yeah, so many people. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, the Contamine is a fairly safe bet on a bluebird powder day. Most of the terrain here is super mellow, although there are quite big terrain traps you need to be aware of. It's very hummocky, there's lots of quite narrow ravines, so even though the gradient isn't very steep, there are holes, so you could get buried by even a small amount of snow if you slough yourself into a hole. But when the weather's like this, you can see where you're going for miles and miles, so you can pick your line from a long way off and just play it safe and keep it casual. You can see how much snow there've been since they've last groomed this slope, probably 3 days ago. I mean, these pole markers are 2 meters tall, give or take, and it's 3/4 of the way buried, so that's well over 1 meter of snow at this altitude, and we're not even all that high here. And look at this, got this entire slope to myself. And this is why it's still avalanche category 5. At some point yesterday, a big spontaneous natural release over there, which had enough energy to come back up this hill here and onto the piste. It's also why this piste is closed. I'm not in danger here now though, because it's already slid, so there's no snow left up there. But yeah, there's lots and lots of evidence of big natural slides. I've not got any action footage to show you from this morning because powder rules are very much in operation, which means no friends, also no fanning about with a camera, and Insta360 cameras really are a faff. They really get in the way of your enjoyment, so whenever there's good snow and I want to charge for the powder, it just stays in the bag. But as you've seen, did get some footage from mid to late afternoon of still some lovely buttery untouched powder, so even though it's incredibly busy here, all the really obvious lines have been tracked out from quite early in the morning. Well, not tracked out, they've been tracked. It's still soft and lumpy bumpy, but yeah, everything's been skied. But some of the slightly less obvious lines, even though it just involved like 10 meters of sidestepping, I'm still finding completely untouched lines at 3 PM. Looking forward, we've got a very brief cold snap coming this weekend with some snow down to all levels. Not a huge amount, probably only about 10 centimeters maximum, but at least this time it'll be light and fluffy. And then into next week, it's rinse and repeat. Got another big storm coming Sunday night through to at least Tuesday. High winds, lots of precipitation, and freezing levels will be going up again, unfortunately. So should basically be a carbon copy of this week. I really wouldn't be surprised if the avalanche risk goes up to level 5 again, because they've set a precedent now. These last 2 days have been 5, so I fully expect Monday and Tuesday next week will also be a 5, which will mean yet again most of the lifts, most of the skiing in the Chamonix Valley will be closed. As will it be in many other resorts as well, which is obviously incredibly frustrating for anybody coming out for the half-term holidays. But at the very least, it does mean when that all blows through later in the week, there should be a load of good, nice snow again. And looking even further ahead, it is staying unsettled, and if anything, getting a little bit colder again. So there'll be yet more snow towards the end of the week potentially. There's still tons of great powder to be had. It's nearly 4 PM, but the light's gone completely flat. So I think it's beer o'clock now. To everybody heading out here on the holidays soon, or indeed who are out here already, I hope you have a wonderful time. Stay safe, read the signs, heed the warnings, etc. Obviously, be incredibly careful on Monday and Tuesday, but you will still be able to get out and have some fun this week for sure. And for everyone else, of course, I'll see you next time.